This article is about the 1980s motorcycle. For the scooter, see Suzuki Katana AY50. The Suzuki Katana is a sport motorcycle designed in 1979 Euro 1980 by the southern Bavarian firm Target Design at the request of Suzuki of Germany specifically for their market. The Katana name was later applied to a range of sport touring motorcycles in North America through the 2006 model year, and starting at the change of the millennium to a line of 49cc per 50cc scooters in Europe. Design history. The Katana's design started when Suzuki hired Hans Muth, ex-chief of styling for BMW, to update the company's image. The three-man Target design team consisted of Muth, Jan Fellstrom and Hans-Georg Carson. Carson was still with Target Design as of 2003. The design worked through several variations, with the public being allowed to see the ED1 and ED2 versions. This original design was a 650cc model called the ED1. The ED1 design featured a forward nose and a shaped, blended fuel tank with a merged fuel tank-to-seat arrangement at a time when squared-off fuel tanks and flat-faced bolt-on accessory fairings were the norm. The design also incorporated favorable aerodynamics, with a special emphasis placed on high-speed stability, and was repeatedly wind tunnel tested in Italy. The same generalized design forms had already been used early in 1979 for a one-off MV Agusta from the same design team, which never saw production. In late 1980, when the GSX 1100S Katana hit the street, it was claimed by Suzuki to be the fastest mass-production motorcycle in the world, ensuring the new looks were matched by unprecedented performance levels. So radical was the design departure from previous mass-market cycles that most major motorcycle magazines of the era thought the design would not appeal to the masses. Nevertheless, it was a sales success, and the motorcycle had a lasting impact on motorcycle design. Portions of the design ethos are still visible in many current sport motorcycles, including the fade-in aspects of both the seat and the tank. In 1980 at Intimate, the Cologne Motor Show, came the ED2, and 1100cc version based on the Suzuki GS 1100. Today, the only Katana prototype outside Japan stands in Austria's Motorrad Museum Eggenberg 100 km northwest of Vienna. This was followed in 1981 with almost no changes to the production version, which is often seen as the Katana, as the design was so distinctive. The design was so successful in its basic form that these additional components were never made, apart from a small wind deflector screen. The unusual overlapping dials on the instrumentation were the result of arranging the mechanical components to fit as closely together as possible to reduce weight and costs. The petrol filler was offset from the centerline of the tank to allow for a clean continuous seam weld. This design philosophy was applied to all areas of the bike's design, thus reducing the costs, weight, and number of components required. Factory variants. Several variants of the 1982 Katana 1100SZ were produced by Suzuki to support racing. The GSX 1000SZ was a 998cc variant of the GSX 1100SZ produced in sufficient numbers to homologate the type as production machine that was eligible for modification for racing under the then-current international superbike racing rules, which included a 1000cc capacity limit. The GSX 1000SZ had frame serial numbers beginning with GS10X500001, and were fitted by the factory with a performance inlet camshaft paired with the same exhaust camshaft as the standard GSX 1100SZ. The 1000SZ also sported round slide VM Mikuni carburetors and were often fitted with optional wire wheels which were lighter and with an 18 inches rear allowed tire choices more suitable for track. Due to their limited production and comparative rarity, the 1000cc's Katana is a sought-after machine. The GSX 1100SXZ wire wheeler was an even rarer factory-built, and peculiarly Southern Hemisphere variant of the standard Katana 1100SZ. Faced with a single-seat Honda CB 1100R, which on paper looked likely to be the dominant machine in the upcoming local production racing series, the New Zealand Suzuki distributor at the time asked Suzuki for a new upgraded machine to beat the Honda. During this period, Suzuki sales were at an all-time high in New Zealand due in large part to Suzuki's racetrack successes. In 1981, Kiwi Suzuki rider Graham Crosby had finished fifth in the World 500cc's championship and successfully defended his TT Formula One title. The Hamamatsu factory responded to the request and Suzuki produced the E27-only SXZ variant of the Katana 1100 SZ. The E27 SXZ was fitted with wire wheels, more powerful front brakes, Mikuni round slide oval bore VM32SS carburetors, large bore mufflers, and performance camshafts. 20 units of the E27 were delivered to South Pacific Suzuki distributors as 20 units were the minimum required to homologate the machines as production motorcycles rather than racing specials under the rules of the New Zealand Autocycle Union, then the governing body for motorcycle sport in New Zealand. More units of the E27 Spec SXZ machines were built by Suzuki and exported to South Africa. The number of South African SXZ units imported is yet to be confirmed. Australia also received its own E24 SXZ, which were also fitted with wire wheels, the same Mikuni carburetors and exhaust as the New Zealand machines, but the Australian machines were fitted with standard unmodified SZ engines. The 1100s were raced with mixed success in Australia in 1981, but rule changes for the 1982 Australian Castrol 6-hour production race saw teams scrambling to find 1000cc versions. In New Zealand, the wire-wheeled bike won the 1982 NZ Castrol 6-hour race and numerous club and national races. The bikes were rendered obsolete for racing by the release of the race replica Suzuki GSX-R 1100. There were plans for an MY 1983 Katana 1100 SXD to be produced, but this never went into production. There is anecdotal evidence that one pre-production unit was produced for the then New Zealand distributor Coleman Suzuki, and that this unit carried the same factory modifications as the E27 Spec SXZ machine. The number of SXZ machines built across all markets is currently undetermined. However, all the Katana 1100 specials had chassis numbers that begin with GS110X10, whereas standard models had chassis numbers in the GS110X50,000 range. Other models, Suzuki also produced 550cc, 650cc and 750cc versions of the Katana. The 650 had a shaft drive, while the 1984-1986 SESG 750 is distinguished by having a pop-up headlight. The air-cooled GSX family, of which the Katana was a member, gave way to the equally revolutionary oil-cooled GSX-R series in 1985. The Katana name was rekindled, primarily in the North American market, for the revised GSX-F series from the end of the 1980s through to 2006. However, in Europe and other markets, the GSX 600F, GSX 750F and GSX 1100F are considered to be the direct replacement for the GSX 550E, GSX 750E and GSX 1100E sports tourers. The GSX-F range comprised 5 basic models split into 2 general eras, the 1988 to Euro 1997 GSX 600F and GSX 750F. The 1988 to Euro 1993 GSX 1100F, followed by the 1998 to Euro 2006 GSX 600F and GSX 750F, both of which were heavily restyled for the 1998 model year. Disparaging fans of the original target design Katanas are known to refer to the GSX-F models as teapots due to the profile of the fed-in design. These same models were offered in Europe, but without the Katana name. The Katana name was absent in Europe from 1986 until the 1999 arrival of a 49cc per 50cc line of Suzuki scooters. The original design ethos reappeared at the 2005 Tokyo Motor Show, when Suzuki rolled out a concept bike called the Suzuki Stratosphere, which heavily incorporated many facets of the original ED1/ED2 designs, although tied in a new transversely mounted narrow 6-cylinder engine. A model appearing in 1984 was the Katana 750 SE with a pop-up headlight, still using an air oil-cooled engine. These were very popular even when their performance was easily outdone by other competitors at the time. Features used by the design team for the original Katana can be seen in many motorcycles of the 1980s through the present, from the XN85 turbo bike to subtle markings on the RG252 strokes. The fact that modern sport motorcycles generally have fairing and seats that visually merge into a sloping at the rear fuel tank is directly traceable to the original Katana ED1/ED2 design series. References. External links: Official Suzuki Motorcycles, Suzuki at DMOZ, an interview with Hans-Georg Carson, co-designer of the 1981 Suzuki Katana GSX 1100S.